Welcome to the Echo Chamber.
On today's show, we're talking about Justin Burnett, the freshman city council member in Springfield, Missouri. My guest today will be Tom Essel, who works with me on the original motto project. So I've got on the line with me Tom Essel, who lives in Springfield, right?
Yes, I live in Springfield.
And today on the Echo Chamber, we are talking about Springfield City Council member for Zone 2, Justin Burnett.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. So, Tom, let's start off with how you got involved with Justin Burnett. Is he in your zone or?
No, I actually live right outside the city. I actually live out in the county, but I used to live in his zone about a year ago. But I got involved with him when the "In God We Trust" sort of fiasco happened, when he wanted to put the "In God We Trust" sign in council chambers. Is when he really kind of got on my radar, and I was aware of who he was and what he stood for, and that's really how it got started. Just kind of snowballed from there. Been blocked on all his social media now, and he's not particularly fond of me.
Yeah, I think we have that in common. In fact, he's blocked 2 of my accounts on Twitter.
Oh, you have 2 Twitter accounts?
Well, I have more than 2.
That's professional trolling right there.
Yeah, well, I run a lot of stuff, so
yeah.
It makes sense that I would have 2,
yeah.
3, or 4.
Yeah, well, he's blocked pretty much everybody who disagrees with him. There are quite a few of my friends that he's shut down for saying anything at all that doesn't agree with his point of view. So that's Justin Burnett.
Yeah. I came into knowing him roughly the same way because I run the original motto project, and back then it was just me running that thing, and I did regular searches for "In God We Trust" council members, and the idea was I would write them letters saying, hey, put up an e pluribus unum instead, or put up nothing, the thing that I do. And then basically we got into a short conversation on Twitter, which lasted about 3 tweets.
That's very short.
Yeah, that was my first interaction with him. He blocked out the original motto Twitter then. So
yeah, my first interaction with him is I heard him on the radio talking about "In God We Trust," and I called the radio station because he just kind of dismissed, the naysayers, saying, "Oh, it's just a few people on social media. We can," pretty much alluding to, we can just ignore them because they don't matter. So I called him up and I asked him, you just want to dismiss these people without actually answering what they're saying to you.
Right.
Why does this not exclude atheists? Why does this not, why is this not, lost for the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying? And he's like a walking, like, conservative meme.
Yeah.
Like, he never says anything of substance. He just repeats the party line, and he's actually a really frustrating person to talk to because it's like talking to a brick wall.
Right. Yeah, I run into that a lot more than you would think, since I deal with a lot of local politicians.
Yeah.
I get that a lot because they don't think they have to think on a larger level than their specific, with him, his specific zone, right?
Yeah, it'd be the zone, which is northeast Springfield.
Right, and that seems to be all he thinks about. Maybe he does think about Springfield, but they don't go past that point. They don't think about the rest of the country. It's only my space that they think about.
Yeah, I don't know that Burnett is actually thinking that large. I don't think Burnett thinks outside of his kind of Tea Party-esque politics. I don't think he really considers anything other than that.
I don't even know if he's Tea Party. I mean, he's way, way out there.
He is way, way out there, that is for sure.
So, it's interesting when I first ran into him and did a little digging on him, and it turns out he's homeschooled, right? If I remember correctly. He went through ACE?
Yes, accelerated Christian education.
Right.
Not all homeschoolers are crazy. Just to be clear.
Oh yeah, I know. We
I
homeschooled our kids till middle and high school.
Okay, yeah, I was homeschooled from the 4th grade till I graduated.
Right.
I turned out famously, so.
But when you're homeschooled with ACE, that's a different story altogether.
Yeah, definitely. I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's so just completely insane.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. I just said on Facebook to somebody just a little bit ago, I can't even get upset with Justin Burnett anymore. He's just such a joke.
Yeah, I know. I still can get upset with him because that's just how I am. It frustrates me to a point where, I just want to, I can't understand where he's coming from. So it's very difficult for me to deal with people like that.
Right. Yeah. I can see where he's coming from because he's a mouthpiece for his politics and the things that have been fed to him through his education. So I don't get frustrated with him so much as I get frustrated with the people who follow him, who see him as a leader in some sort of way. Those are the people I get frustrated with.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
But,
yeah,
but I think his appeal, because a lot of people in Zone 2 do support him, and I think his appeal is that he is willing to plant his flag in the ground and defend it to the bitter end. I don't think anybody's really thought about if they actually agree with him so much as they like the fact that he'll just defend it no matter what. It's kind of the same reason people like, Ken Ham. That's why people like Ken Ham, is because not because they actually agree with him, but because he'll just say it no matter what.
Right. Kind of like the way Trump supporters are right now.
Yes, very much. He'll just say what's on his mind, and then of course you say, well, have you heard the things that he actually says? I mean, he's a racist and a misogynist, and he's clearly insane.
Right.
And they're like, well, at least he says it. It's kind of like, okay, you can't even argue with people like that.
Like, okay, you're done. I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
I don't even have a comeback for that.
Well, that's why they do it though, because there is no way to argue with it.
Right. Yet again, it goes beyond my personal understanding of how the world works. So I usually can empathize with people, but there comes a point where they are so entrenched in their ways that I can't break that brick house they've built and understand what's going on in there.
Right, and that's actually a big reason that we need to recall Justin Burnett. I don't know if you mentioned, for people listening, we're trying to recall his seat. And
right.
Part of the reason to get rid of him is because you cannot reason with him. That's a big part of it. I mean, that you simply cannot talk to him. You cannot compromise with someone like him, and government is compromise. I mean, that's what the United States was actually founded on, was compromise.
Yeah, the entire Bill of Rights was based on the compromise. It's the only way we got the Constitution passed.
It's the only way the Constitutional Convention even happened, was compromise. And so, but you cannot compromise with people like Justin Burnett, and that's why you have to get rid of them. Right.
So let's talk about the next thing Burnett did that got everybody up in arms. Let's talk about the Free the Nipple event.
Yes. Free the Nipple. I actually didn't know about it until I follow him on Facebook. This was before I got blocked. And I actually didn't know about Free the Nipple until he posted something on his Facebook warning people to stay away from downtown, is how I found out about it.
Right.
And then, of course, he just completely overreacted. And,
oh, man, did he ever.
Yeah, just complete and utter, the sky is falling.
Yeah, it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard anyone say about something like that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because with Free the Nipple, I was always kind of apathetic to it. I wasn't really a supporter, and I wasn't a detractor, but I was just kind of like, I don't really care.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was a little more than I don't care. I was like, hey, that's a really cool thing. Go do it. I'm not really part of the movement. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the way I was with it.
Yeah, I think part of that for me, I grew up in Southern California, and so stuff like that happens all the time. So it's just kind of like, oh, whatever. But for me, what really made me a supporter was the things that Justin Burnett said about the protesters. He never said why they were wrong. He just said they were irresponsible and they attract sexual predators and just these horrible, awful things. And the Free the Nipple people are right. Like,
Right.
it really kind of opened my eyes to how differently women really are treated,
Right.
and how disgusting and despicable some of the things these people will say are.
Yeah, it was the things he said that earned him a Mr. Potter Award back in episode 14.
I'm not familiar with that.
The Mr. Potter Award?
No, I'm not familiar. What's that?
Okay, so that's part of our show where we talk about local politicians being Mr. Potterish. So if you remember the movie It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart.
That might be before my time.
Okay, it's kind of older.
I'm aware of it.
So there's a character in there called Mr. Potter. Mr. Potter is the ultimate in shady capitalist.
Okay.
He basically runs the town by his greed, right?
Okay.
So we came up with the idea to name Mr. Potter Awards for politicians and people who had power in politics who were doing basically the same thing, who were treating their townships as their kingdoms.
Yes, I can see where he would earn that.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, if anybody goes, I think it's episode 14 if you want to go back and listen to it. It's probably about 15 minutes in. Usually we try and get to the Potter Award between 15 and 20 minutes in.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to go back and take a listen to that. And I wonder if he knows.
I thought about, being that guy and sharing it onto his wall.
You should be that guy.
But, I'm not that guy.
I'm that guy, but I'm blocked.
Well,
so.
you can share it all you wish.
I can't. I'm blocked.
Oh.
I'll find
somebody.
I'll find somebody who isn't.
Right. Because I'm kind of weird on self-promotion.
Mm-hmm.
I do it to a point that it's necessary, but I'm kind of not for it.
Oh, I'm shameless. I will.
I want people to listen to the show, but I don't want to push it onto people, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah, I can. Yeah.
It's weird. Just feels weird.
I said I'm shameless. I'll promote anything.
I'll promote anybody else's stuff. I just have issues promoting mine. It's really strange.
Huh. Yeah, I can see that. It's kind of you don't want to be seen as a narcissist, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Even though we're all technically narcissists.
Oh, especially writers. And I'm reading a book by or a little pamphlet, I guess, by George Orwell called Why I Write, and the number one reason he says that writers write is for their own ego. So
right. If I didn't want people to listen, I wouldn't put it out there. I would just record it and hide it in a vault somewhere. But,
right.
Like I said, we're all technically narcissists deep down.
Oh yeah, some of us are just more blatant about it.
Right.
But back to Burnett.
Yes.
Speaking of narcissists, where were we at? Free the Nipple. So he said a bunch of awful things about Free the Nipple. And
do you have any of those? Any things he said in the initial Free the Nipple stuff? I got a few that I have remembered, but I don't have anything written down in front of me. It wouldn't be hard to get.
Yeah, I didn't write anything down for that specifically, but just from memory, he was on I think it was the Nick Reed show, and Nick Reed is kind of a local wannabe Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck type, and they were talking about how of course they're calling them all the usual, they're sluts and they're indecent and the standard things you would expect them to say.
Right.
But Nick Reed and Justin Burnett, and I think it was Nick Reed that actually said it, but Justin Burnett kind of laughingly agreed with it. And he said, we looked up Alyssa Barrere, who's the one who started the Free the Nipple. We looked her up on Facebook to see if it was worth going down to the square to see her topless. And that really just got under my skin. Now, I think that's probably the most repugnant thing I've heard throughout the whole Free the Nipple thing.
Yeah. Well, I pulled up our Potter Award for him because I do a separate blog post for that on my on the website. And some of the things he said were just a couple. Were in the interest of public safety. That's why he wanted to get rid of this stuff, right? Because known sexual predators were recognized at the event.
Which is a complete fabrication.
Yes. The city manager said spotting of pedophiles are not really a problem at this event.
Except for I make the joke now, since the Nick Reed incident, that the only sexual predators that Free the Nipple attracts are Nick Reed and Justin Burnett.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But what else did he have to say? I'd jog my memory.
I'm still looking at. I didn't get a whole lot of quotes on him. We usually just talk about him.
There was a lot of that. A lot of, well, we're a family friendly.
He compared the protest to pornography. Do you believe pornographic material should be displayed in front of children and minors?
Yes.
When asked why he has opposed the rally. And then it gets into his next action, which was the resolution.
Yeah, he proposed the ordinance. It was the very next council meeting. I think it was actually the week, literally, the Free the Nipple rally, I think, was on Friday. And I think it was that Monday or Tuesday. I think it's Monday when the council meetings are. It was that Monday that he proposed the ordinance, or at least put it in. And that wasn't the first reading of it, but that's when he put it in, to my knowledge. So he was quick on it. He didn't bother looking anything up or doing any research. So,
well, he wouldn't have to. He's got an ace education.
He's got an ace. He's got an ace up his sleeve.
Yes, absolutely. So there was quite a bit of rustling around this resolution, right?
Yeah, people were not happy about it. That's for sure.
Right.
Locally, people were just upset about it. They were just like, why are you doing this? There was the Bob Sign. I think you followed him on Facebook.
I've got a little bit on Bob Sign in the post.
Bob Sign, essentially. I think he called it at one point the Justinian Code, which I thought was
funny.
Oh, I thought it was great. The history nerd in me just died when that happened. But
that's really good.
But so he proposed his ordinance, and I mean, the rest is really history. I mean, I don't. People were mad. Some people were mad. Well, you had him proposing the ordinance, and then you had the kind of the war of the Facebook groups. Essentially, is what happened.
Right.
Because you had, of course, the group that I'm a part of, and then you have the Springfield Residents Against Indecent Exposure, I think was the name of the group.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, run by a wonderful human being named Jennifer Wilkin.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like the right one.
Yeah. And it was, they pretty much, it was just kind of a back and forth at first, At first it was kind of funny because we were all trying to spy on each other. And so we eventually kind of weeded out the spies. But during the council, I think the most interesting part of that for me was the first reading of the bill when the public actually got to speak. Because that's where you could really see what the intent behind the bill was. And it's very clear from things that Justin Burnett and Christy Folnicki said that what they wanted to do was stop Free the Nipple. That's exactly what they wanted to do. And of course, the city attorney, Dan Wickmer, said, you can't. And they're pretty much just like, well, we do whatever we want anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead and sue us.
Wasn't there what's the word, an addendum to that resolution that didn't get passed?
I don't recall. There might have been.
I'd have to look that back up. I seem to remember something weird.
Yeah, I don't remember. It might have been. I know that they got I think they got rid of the turgid state language. I think is what they did. And I don't know if they added it back in or something like that.
Okay, so I'd have to look into that again. It's been a while.
Yeah. But so you have, of course, Justin Burnett, who pretty much, and Christy Folnicki, who pretty much just asked the city attorney 100 times, well, we can arrest the Free the Nipple people, right? And he's like, no, they're going to sue you. If you do that, they are going to sue you. And they're like, yeah, but we can still do it, right? I mean, that's pretty much what happened. Of course, the public got to go speak, and the first guy that spoke, as I watched it live. Because I was late for work. I wanted to go, but I was late getting home from work, so I ran home and got on the live stream. And the very first guy, literally read from the book of Genesis.
Wow.
And then made some completely incoherent statement about, well, because Adam and Eve covered themselves in goat skins, these people need to be covered up. That was his point.
So that's a valid point. Yeah,
it's completely valid.
If you're basing your laws on the Bible.
Yeah, and there was a lot of that. I think most of the people that spoke in favor of it made some sort of biblical or religious reference. Most of them.
Well, so the question is there a secular reason not to do that?
I'm probably not the person to ask that question because I I don't care if they do it or not.
Right. So
I can't think of one. I'm open to the possibility, but I can't really think of one.
yeah, I just like that question when we start looking at things that are religiously based in their reasoning. So we look at it and say, is there a secular reasoning for this? Because if there's not, then we can start invoking lemon test.
Right.
So once we start doing that method, then we start getting in actual litigation stuff. So, but that's entirely off in the future.
Yes, it is. But so of course they went and they passed the ordinance. So, which is opening up a whole other can of worms.
Right. Now, is there going to be another Free the Nipple in Springfield?
Yes.
Okay.
On November. Oh, they're going to kill me if I get this wrong. I think it's November 6th.
Yes. If I remember seeing on the Facebook page, it was November 6th. I was testing you.
Hopefully I passed.
Yeah, as far as I know. They could hang us both. I don't know.
They might. So, yeah, November 6th will be the next one. And we are exploring our options with the ACLU about what we can do about the actual ordinance.
Right.
Which is the limit of what I can say about that. But
right. Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not over.
Right. It's not over. Absolutely. But what we can do is talk about Burnett's most recent interview.
Oh, I've got notes for that. I've got notes for days.
Okay. So I'm going to play it, and you tell me if you want to stop, and I'll stop it, and we can talk about it.
All right.
Well, there's a group now that is seeking to, I would say, intimidate some of the council members that voted in support of the indecent exposure ordinance. Specifically, they're targeting me since I was the sponsor of the bill, although it was a majority of council that voted in support of it. Now, one council member cannot make a vast decision like that on its own, obviously. But anyway, they're attempting to recall me and hold a special election again in Zone 2.
All right, I want to talk about that.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
So this is the first thing he's saying essentially is we're trying to intimidate members of council. We're not trying to intimidate anybody. I mean, I don't understand where he's getting that from unless he himself feels intimidated by the prospect of being recalled, which I guess I could understand that.
That could be somewhat intimidating. I mean, that's part of his job.
Perhaps for him, but we're not trying to intimidate other members of council. We simply want to get rid of the person who's not doing their job. So he has this, you'll hear it later in the interview, but he has this very kind of potent sense of being under siege and always being persecuted.
It's that persecution complex, right?
It is a persecution complex, very much so, kind of rearing its ugly head. But if you want to continue, I've got lots to say about this interview.
Okay, so we'll go on with the interview.
Is associated with Free the Nipple, although some of my campaign advisors have told me that they're attempting to rebrand their group because of the potential childish, I guess, look of that movement. And so they're attempting to go beyond just that one cause and then focus on additional things, mainly in some cases personal attacks.
Yeah, let me say something about that.
Okay,
so this is his other claim that he's making during this interview, is that we're trying to rebrand somehow and distance ourselves from Free the Nipple. Like, I've written about this in the local paper, but we've never claimed to be in no way, shape, or form associated with Free the Nipple. We've been very open about the fact that Free the Nipple, or the reaction to Free the Nipple, is kind of the catalyst that set this off. However, I remember back in May and June speaking with various secular groups around town about the possibility of recalling him. So this is an idea that's been in a lot of activists' head since pretty much almost since he got elected in April. So this idea that this is coming entirely from Free the Nipple and then we're trying to backtrack and somehow rebrand ourselves is complete nonsense. We're also not trying to brand ourselves. We don't have a brand.
That's just odd wording. I just don't understand. That's weird that he would use that wording.
It's not odd if you think about it in kind of his political mindset, because that's what you do in politics. You brand your party, or you have a brand of who you are as you try to sell yourself to the public.
Yeah.
I think that's where he's going with that word. But at the same time, this idea that we are somehow trying to distance ourselves from free will is complete, utter nonsense.
Right. I mean, that seems like the group you would want to ally with.
Well, most of our members are also part of.
Right.
But if you look at the actual numbers, we have, I think it's over 1,100 members recall Justin Burnett group, whereas the Free the Nipple group has 400 or 500. If it's so, complete nonsense.
Yeah. So I'm looking up your membership. You got 1,424.
Oh wow, that's much more.
And recall Justin Burnett.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
That's more than I thought. Okay, I should pay attention to these numbers.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I should write these things down. All right, so what's the next thing he's got to say in that?
Okay.
Unless you had something to add.
Nope.
Credit me as a council member, and so it's definitely disconcerting to see that in politics now, but it's something we see quite often when one side disagrees with something. And ultimately, I think that the vast majority of Springfield believes that indecent exposure is not something we want in our city, which is why we saw so many constituents reach out and say no against that. And so council was just responding to the needs of the people, which is what we're tasked to do. And the majority asked us to respond, and we did. And the latest information that I've received is that their group is attempting to raise money, and I believe they're going to simply target Democrat doors to get easier signatures, which is a unique perspective.
Wow.
But that just fascinates me.
Actually, I do have something to say about that.
Yeah.
Why would that be a unique perspective to target Democrat doors?
I don't.
That seems to be an actually good idea.
Yeah, I don't know how we would track down all the Democrats in Zone 2, so I'm not. I don't know if they're on some secret list somewhere that I'm not aware of, but
I'm not sure.
But this is the other thing he's doing, and it's coming up soon, but I want to talk about it now, is that he's trying to make it sound like this is just a bunch of liberals. This is just, and he'll say it later, he coming up, he says something about us targeting him for being a Christian. And so he's making it sound like it's just a bunch of atheists and it's just a bunch of liberals that are after him.
Right.
Which I can understand, I suppose, it feeds his persecution complex. But I actually asked today on the Recall Justin Burnett page, hey, how many of you are religious? And,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I got, I think, over 50 responses from, I mean, I don't know how many of them were double the people, but I counted about an hour ago before we started, and at that time, 33 people out of, I think it was about 40 comments, had said that they were religious and supported the recall.
Right, so, and you also asked on the recall page.
Yes, and I asked who here is a conservative or a Republican and supports the recall. And I got several responses from those as well. And I actually have a few of them that I really want to, because I think the reasons why people.
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
So this is Angela Crocker, and this was her response to, are you support of Burnett? And she says, I'm a Christian, and I wholeheartedly support this recall. The way he has used his office doesn't reflect my values and certainly isn't helping our community as a whole. The way I see it, if he isn't going to respect the separation of church and state, he should resign and go volunteer for James River Assembly. And that was just one of the religious people who commented, and that really stood out to me. And then it was Curtis Lee Gilbert he is a conservative. And he says, I'm a conservative and a Republican, and I support his removal. As a conservative, I believe in small government and them remembering their place as servants to the people. As a Republican, I believe in what's best for the Republic, and what is best is not worrying about women's body parts when there are much more important issues at stake. And that was one of the conservative people that really stood out to me. And it really shows that this is all kinds of people who want to get rid of this guy for all kinds of reasons.
Right.
It's not just atheists. It's not just liberals. Justin Burnett can't appreciate that there are people who genuinely don't think he's doing his job. And he thinks it's some sort of conspiracy theory against him. And it's not. I mean, when I asked about religion, we had everything from Jews to Buddhists to various types of, Christian denominations. This is lots and lots of different points of view that have come together, and they agree that this guy is not good for Springfield.
Right, I agree. I don't even live there, and I think he's horrible for Springfield.
Oh, he's awful.
And leaving him in place would set a bad precedent for other parts of the country, which is why I oppose him.
Yeah, everybody seems to have a reason to oppose him. We're actually doing right now on there. Somebody suggested making like little videos. I'm a Christian and I oppose Justin Burnett, or I want to recall Justin Burnett for whatever reason. And so we're making these little videos right now. So I'm interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I might look into doing that. I don't do video a whole lot, so we'll see.
Well, I really want to stress that this is not just liberals. This is not just atheists. This is not just one demographic. This is a lot of people in Springfield who are dissatisfied with this guy and see him as a divisive and even dangerous figure.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And we certainly should continue working on getting him off of that council. Just like we should probably continue with this interview.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Especially since city council is nonpartisan, but you have conservatives and liberals, and after a while you know who's who. So apparently they're going to exploit that to the complete extent that they can. The step after that, it would have to be verified by the city clerk to ensure that each signature is a valid voter.
Within the zone.
Within the zone. It would have 1,900, I believe, and 12. It was kind of an odd number. But and then if they have those, then they would call a special election, which would be held next year. And then at that election, the citizens would weigh in and decide what to do. I believe the last time it happened was 1996, and I know the local newspaper did a feature on it. Not a whole lot of specifics, but I believe there was some kind of a neighborhood issue that was very controversial, and that's the last time that it was successful. But this is something that I've been told is often threatened many times when there's any issue that's controversial. Although typically, usually individuals will go after the actual bill and collect signatures to get it on a referendum ballot, as we've seen recently with other hot-button issues. But this time, it looks like they're resorting to intimidation techniques and going after individual members of council. Right, I think it comes down to a key philosophical difference. A lot of these individuals have sent me messages saying, we've heard that you're a Christian, you don't belong on council, we don't want Christians in politics anymore, and things along those lines.
Okay, can we
stop right down.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to anyway, because that's a big one.
Yeah, that's complete nonsense. Nobody has ever said we don't want Christians in politics anymore. What we're saying is that we don't want, in the case of Justin Burnett, we don't want his specific brand of Christianity in politics. Justin Burnett can believe whatever he wants.
Right.
But it's his inability to separate his religious convictions from his job as a elected representative. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say, that we need to make sure that we're not saying we don't want Christians on city councils, but we need to make them aware that making laws based on their religious beliefs is wrong.
Right. And they don't understand that. It's really difficult to get that through to people, especially here in the Bible Belt. So, if you want to...
Yep, and we'll move on.
To beyond this issue, the In God We Trust issue, that riled up a lot on the left, and now they're out for blood. It was mentioned in some of the newspapers that they had picked Springfield because we're viewed as a conservative city, and they wanted to use it kind of as a catalyst for their agenda. And we've seen this with a lot of issues. This whole Free the Nipple movement actually came out of Europe.
All right, stop right there.
Yes.
He's about to say something really crazy, but we'll save that so that it's by itself. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But, But so this is another thing he keeps saying, is that this is an outside group that's trying to influence Springfield.
Right.
First of all, if that were true, which it's not, but if it were true, so what?
It doesn't matter.
Right. So what? Well, it's so funny because he'll attack these outside movements that are, trying to change Springfield, but his buddy Calvin Morrow, who runs Christians United for Political Action, lives in Mansfield, which is like an hour from here.
I can actually call him out completely on his hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Because of the In God We Trust issue. Mm-hmm. That is well known to come from one of two places. It comes from either California or North Carolina. Now, North Carolina stays in North Carolina, so we have to assume this came from In God We Trust America Incorporated.
Yes.
So what she does is she sends out letters to every city council that she thinks will vote favorably on it. She doesn't send them to those she doesn't think will vote favorably because they can't win that.
Right.
And I'm fairly certain as soon as she found out Justin Burnett got on the council, a letter was sent out immediately. Because I see the same tactics and wording that he uses that is used everywhere else that they have sent letters to that I know of.
Oh, yeah, where it's reaffirming our motto, the kind of historical arguments.
It's the exact same resolution.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me one bit.
And they have over 570 cities and counties, so I have plenty of evidence to work off of. So.
Yeah, but the other thing I want to say here is that this is not some outside group. I don't understand where he's getting that perception. I don't get that. I know the person that started the Free the Nipple rallies here in Springfield. I interviewed her yesterday for a blog piece I'm doing for Danthropology, and she lives 10 minutes from my house. She goes to the local college. Like, this is not some outside person. This is somebody who is a member of the community who wants to do something in the community.
Right.
So it's like, and this is where you really see the kind of, I hate to use the word, I'm trying to couch it, but you really see the crazy come out with Justin Burnett. He thinks everything is a conspiracy, and he's blowing things out of proportion. This, which is another reason to get rid of him. He cannot think rationally about things.
Right.
But I just want to, I mean, the idea that this is some sort of outside group is completely insane. This was an 18-year-old young woman who got inspired by her friend, who is a feminist activist, to do this. And then it blew up into this big thing that it is. But this is not some outside group that's, you know, slipping her notes under the door and talking in secret codes, and like, that's not what's going on here. And so that is a completely fatuous thing of Justin Burnett to say.
Right. But let's look at the outside group he thinks it might be.
Kind of a unique group that has some interesting ideas, including that we came from aliens, some kind of a alien landing in the early 1900s, I believe. But just some crazy things that I've been emailed. Now, I haven't verified a lot of those statements, but it's very interesting to say the least.
So,
but like you,
so let's stop there because that's good stuff.
Yeah. So first of all, okay, that might be true. That might be true that the person who started this is somehow somebody somewhere. I don't remember who said that. It's vaguely true, but I don't remember who. But even then, I mean, so what? It's so funny because I think it's like 3 minutes before he's talking about, well, it's too bad that we see personal attacks and slander in politics, and then he turns around and tries to make it sound like these are a bunch of crazy people who believe in aliens,
right?
Or not. I mean, they believe in UFOs coming to Earth, and that's where people come from. Is what he's trying to say, which I don't think they think that. I don't.
Somehow that seems unlikely.
It's unlikely that. Well, I know the people who are doing this. They don't believe that. That's completely insane. They probably aren't even aware of that connection.
Well, they will be soon.
They are aware of it now. That's for sure.
But what's interesting is what he said. Is basically he said, "I don't have the facts to back this up, but I'm going to say this anyway."
Right. Which is a very typical Justin Burnett thing to say.
Right.
I haven't looked it up or done any research or talked to anybody or really bothered to get on Google, but I'm just going to spout a bunch of nonsense like it's true.
Right.
Or in a way that will lead people to believe that it's true, so that I can discredit my opponents with, I don't even know if it's real. Is that even an ad hominem attack? I don't even know what that is.
I'm not sure. It could be ad hominem, but it's not really attacking their.
Yeah.
No, it's not really an ad hominem. It's just a false statement.
Yeah.
It's period.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what else he has to say, and we'll probably finish it up.
All right.
Back to your point, like you mentioned, it is an outside group that is attempting to influence the city of Springfield and try to convince us to change our policies. And we've always been a family-friendly community. I think that's one of our selling points. We've got a lot of great things going on, a strong local economy. I think
check the box.
Situations like these, but not something that the council has asked for. It's not something that I expected to come up. But once you see a situation like this, when you're leading, you do have to make decisions at times that are difficult.
I think
that is the interview.
Yeah, that's the interview. Yeah, he's making difficult decisions.
Yes.
Very difficult.
Based on his religious belief.
Based on his religious and political. Yes, his religious beliefs. Yes.
Yeah.
I that interview, and I think that interview is actually kind of cut and copied and pasted from a longer interview. It's kind of.
I think it is. It sounded like it was because there's some definite sound differences.
Yeah.
That I can hear. So.
But I think it really highlights why this guy has got to go. I mean,
Absolutely.
You just listen to that interview and you're just like, this is a person who's in way over his head. He has no idea what he's doing. He doesn't bother to look up facts about anything unless he thinks that it can discredit an opponent in some way. And then he'll look up the fact that 100 years ago, some psychopath thought that aliens landed on Earth, and then we should all free our nipples. I don't know the connection between the aliens and the nipples.
I haven't figured that part out yet.
Yeah.
I thought maybe the Raelians, and then it's like, wait, that's the wrong time frame. I don't even know. Yeah,
I think it might have something to do with the Raelians. I ran across that somewhere. But that's irrelevant because that's not what the people here in Springfield believe.
Right.
So even if it was true, like that's not what the people here believe. So even then, it's false anyway. But I think that's everything about that interview is everything wrong with Justin Burnett in 4 minutes and 50 seconds.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty much everything wrong with the type of politician that he is as well. Not just himself, but the absurd Tea Party politician is pretty much this, from what I've found out.
Yes, he plays identity politics.
Right.
He just says what people want to hear and what they believe, and kind of panders to that demographic. And like I said earlier, he plants his flag in the ground and defends it to the bitter end, and it gets him elected.
Yeah, which I get it. I understand why people like that. It's sort of, but like I said earlier, I can't really wrap my head completely around it. I understand it somewhat, but
well, I honestly don't think he knows that he does it.
Really?
I don't think he knows that's what he's doing.
So he's not as you're saying he's not as intelligent as Donald Trump.
He's it's on a scale of Justin Burnett to Donald Trump.
Because Trump knows what he's doing.
He does, and he knows it the best, and he'll make it the biggest. But I really don't. Honestly, I don't think Justin Burnett even knows that that's what he's doing. I think he's more or less been pretty much brainwashed, and he's just kind of, for the greater good. He's just spouting what he's been told to spout.
Yeah.
I don't think he never says anything of substance ever. He just kind of everything Justin Burnett says is, it sounds like he's just checking boxes off of a list. Family friendly, strong economy, conservative, family values, Jesus, God bless America. That's everything Justin Burnett's ever said.
So the male Sarah Palin.
I bet he has a poster of Sarah Palin up in his bedroom. But you can't see her nipples because that would be indecent.
Yeah, of course not. That would be wrong.
That would be indecent. We're not about indecent exposure. We are about family values.
Family values.
Yes.
Right.
So, that's Justin Burnett in a nutshell.
Yeah. I think that covers him pretty well.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's hard to know what to say about him because at this point he's such a caricature of a person that he's just a kind of like a joke. It's kind of like, oh, what stupid thing did he say today?
Yeah.
It's to that point. Like I said, I can't even get mad at him. I used to get really frustrated, especially during In God We Trust. I got really frustrated with him because he made all these statements about American history and things like that. And I study American history in college. And I genuinely tried to kind of talk to him about that. And he's just like, no, one of our founding fathers was Jesus. That's pretty much Justin Burnett.
Yeah, I kind of got that from him.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about him. He's a joke.
Yeah. Well, it was thanks to him that I found out about quite a few bumper stickers.
Oh, was this?
Yeah, he tweeted something. I follow him with a separate Twitter account.
Oh.
That he doesn't know about. Haha.
I don't think he has many Twitter followers, so he might figure it out. He might
he
snoop
probably
you
will
out.
eventually.
He'll deactivate his Twitter now.
He's got 2, I think.
Oh, does he?
Let me make sure.
Oh, please tell me that's true.
I'll have to double check all my Twitter.
Yeah. Send me it.
No, maybe just 1. I think I was following someone else that has 2. But I'll look into it just in case, because I can be wrong occasionally.
I'm always trying to find some way to kind of get to him. A friend of mine, she lives in Turkey, and I tried to get her to kind of like troll him essentially, but like do it in Arabic, because she speaks Arabic. She's actually from the United Arab Emirates, and so she speaks Arabic. And I was like, no, you should totally mess with this guy, because he's already right wing conservative crazy as it is. So anyone speaking Arabic has got to freak him out.
Yeah.
So
that would be interesting. I'd like to watch that.
She never did it. She chickened out.
Oh, man.
I'm upset about it.
Yeah. Now we need to find another Arabic friend to do it. That'd be awesome.
Or just fake it. I don't think he'd actually bother to look up if we just typed in a bunch of stuff in Arabic.
That would be so funny.
It would.
But yeah, that's what got one of my, if I remember correctly, it's what got my second account banned from him, was when he talked about the bumper stickers and said, hey, thanks, now I know who to send a letter to.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That got me.
I got banned. Again. I got banned on Twitter just for following him.
Oh, wow.
Like, as soon as I followed him, he blocked me immediately.
Well, he knew who you were.
Yeah. And then as soon as my letter came out in the newspaper calling him Chicken Little, that's when all of a sudden I was blocked from everything. So.
Yeah, I can share his Facebook stuff, but I can't comment on it.
Yeah, I can share it, but I can't comment or like or do anything like that with him.
Right.
So.
Which is frustrating, because he is a public official.
Yeah.
And those are official pages.
Yeah, I think it's iffy with those. It's because it kind of comes to the issue we're having with the police departments doing it to us.
Right.
But I don't know how that works. I don't think it's as clear cut, because it is his like political campaign Facebook. So I don't really know how that.
It's really strange. Well, I have a feeling there's going to be a court case that's going to clarify some of that for us in the very near future.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Hopefully there'll be a court case in the near future that clears up Free the Nipple as well. So. Yes,
that would be great. What's sad is we have to have court cases to clear this stuff up, when it's really absolutely clear already to the rest of us.
To really, I think, any kind of sane, rational person, yes.
Yes.
So.
Very cool. So, is there anything you personally want to plug?
Is there anything I want to plug?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Well, I've got you on here.
I can. Well, everyone listening should be following the Original Motto Project, and if you're not, shame on you. I hear that.
Oddly enough, I don't talk about it that much on the show.
That's a shame. I hear they have a great content manager.
Yes, they do. Their content manager is absolutely amazing.
I heard that, and y'all should check out the blog Danthropology on the Patheos network.
Yes,
we do some pretty cool stuff on there. That's my plug. That's all I got.
That's your plug.
That's all I got.
So what I'll do is I will put some links in the notes to this show, to the Facebook pages that we talked about, to Danthropology, to Original Motto Project, maybe Justin Burnett's Facebook page. I don't know.
Oh, please do that.
And there will also be a link to the audio we played. So we make sure that's in there.
All right.
And I think, pretty sure we covered Justin Burnett as far as we can.
I think so, and it's getting late for me here in Missouri. So
yes, it is. Well, cool. Well, thanks for chatting with me on this first echo chamber.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Tom.
All right. See you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks again to Tom for joining me on the show today. All links discussed will be in the show notes. If you like this, let me know by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or anywhere good podcasts can be heard. The Echo Chamber is a production of Secular Yakking. You can find out more at secularyakking.com.